Well, hello there and welcome back to the channel. Once again, I find myself out here on a country laneway with an absolutely gale force wind blowing. It just must be the time of year that we find ourselves in. But the reason I'm here is I've been looking for a subject to shoot, and to be honest with you, this could well be the last Milky Way core shot that I'm able to get for 2020. So I've been looking for a subject that's in the right direction, traveling down this dirt road out here, and I've stumbled across this old windmill. Now you can see it's really windy here, but the poor old windmill, she's not budging. I mean, it's moving a little bit side to side. It's got no blades. So this one's done a fair bit of work, I would say, over the years. But look, it's in a perfect position for me because it's really open here. And so I'm setting myself a bit of a challenge tonight, because what I want to do, the Milky Way core is going to set down right behind. Now you can see it's a pretty open horizon down there. What I would like to do is use my longer focal length lenses, perhaps 35 or maybe in the 50mm f1.8 lens, to shoot the core behind the windmill, and that's going to draw that Milky Way in nice and close in the background. Now the windmill itself, well, if this wind drops, and it's supposed to clear up nicely tonight, but if the wind drops down, I'll be more than happy, I can tell you. Now, just a bit of information about the Milky Way. At this time of year, it's quite low down in the sky. Now, you've probably heard the term Milky Way season. Now, what people are referring to with Milky Way season is talking about when the Milky Way core, that's the galactic core, that's the center part, or the brightest, most prominent part of the Milky Way, is visible. And so here where I live in Australia, in the southern hemisphere, that ranges from about February, very early in the morning, till about the beginning of November, quite early in the evening. And so we're at that end of that scale. We're at the, well, November now. And of course the Milky Way tonight, not long after sunset, is going to be right above this windmill here. So I've got to be here pretty early in the night. So it's an easy trip to come out here and not have to wait around too long. Of course, it all depends on the weather. But so a lot of you might ask, well, how do I know exactly where that Milky Way core is going to be? Now, there's a number of ways of determining that. My favourite method is to use Stellarium. It's a software that goes on the computer. I look at it on my screen at home. It shows me exactly what time the Milky Way is going to be in the sky and how low, and when it sets below the horizon and all those things. It also gives me compass bearings. So I know that somewhere between 235 degrees and 265 degrees west or southwest is where that core part of the Milky Way is going to be. Now, the Milky Way is quite large and prominent in the sky, so I can be much wider than that and still get it in. In fact, you could shoot a pano and get it right across the western sky here. But I know the lower it gets down, especially when I'm using longer focal length lenses like the 50mm or a 35, I'm honing in my field of view. So it's good to know. Now, when I go out searching for some subject to shoot, all I really need is a compass. And I know I've discussed this many times before, but if I just look at my compass and I determine the bearing, and it's around about 230, 240, 250, 260 degrees, I know I'll be able to get the Milky Way in that direction. And so in my car, I've got the compass on the GPS, which doesn't give me the exact bearing, but it tells me if I'm going north, south, east, or west, and that's a pretty good indicator. So I guess to set this shot up, what I'm going to be doing is putting my camera along this fence line, which is right on the road here, and shooting down to that exact same compass bearing. Now, a lot of you are going to say to me, well, just use photo pills and that'll tell you exactly where the Milky Way core is in the sky. Of course it will. And whilst I'm here on location, as you can see now, I'm determining that on the photo pills app, and that will show me exactly where it is going to be. But I guess the reason I mentioned the Stellarium and the compass bearings is because that's something that you can determine at home, sitting by your computer. You can work out all of those coordinates there without having to be on location or anything else. All you need to do on location is actually find the exact composition that you want. Now, of course, here in the daytime like this, photo pills is awesome because I can actually get it out and use the augmented reality view and look at the windmill there and say, yep, that's where it's going to be. Of course, at night time when I come here to do this shot, and that's going to be tonight, then I don't need the app because I can see the Milky Way is huge. It fills the whole sky here, and there's hardly any light pollution. This is about a Bortle 2 sky, so it's very, very dark. So all I need is for the wind to drop and the sky to clear, and I'll be in business. Well, as you can see, this poor old girl's seen better days. Looks like there's an old set of blades there on the ground. I think you could do with it now, don't you? Wow, I just want this wind to go away. Okay, well, I'm not too keen to hang around here any longer than I need to in this wind, so I might jump in the car, hit the road, and I'll see you guys back out here tonight. Well, here I am out under the stars. The windmill's just over there. It's a beautiful, clear night, and I'm really looking forward to shooting this scene. I can see the core over there stretching across, and if you look behind me, well, there's a bit of cloud cover over that side, but you can see the glow from Bendigo, which is where I came from, in the distance over there. And we've got Orion, etc. So in here we are in the southern hemisphere, and we have the Milky Way core setting in the western sky, and exactly opposite that we have Orion, and I can see Taurus and the Seven Sisters over the Pleiades cluster rising up in the eastern sky. So we've got this sort of balancing act between these constellations, and it's really fantastic. I love it. So anyway, I'm going to get to work. We'll see how we go shooting this scene here tonight. Oh, I can't wait. This is so fantastic. Just being out here under the stars just gives me so much energy, and I just absolutely love it out here. Okay, now the first sequence of shots I've just taken here was a 6-row panorama. I'll put the camera up here into portrait orientation, 50mm f1.8 lens with the Z6 here, and I've shot the road, the windmill, and some of this paddock on the side of the road here. I shot that at f2.2, 10-second shutter speeds at ISO 6400, and yeah, just a little bit of light painting. So I used my torch, my lead lenser P7.2, as you can see here, and that does a pretty good job. Don't need very much power in that torch. So a lot of people ask me about how bright should these things be. Well, to be honest, not very bright, because these cameras, when you've got wide open apertures and high ISOs, they really suck in the light. So anyway, that's my first shot. So I'm going to move on now to the windmill over here and see what I can come up with that. Okay, well, I've got to work really quick because I don't know if you can see, but there's clouds coming across. So I'm going to have to leave you guys for a little bit whilst I get going with this composition, and I'll talk you through it when I'm finished. Right, now this is a fantastic composition, and I sort of stumbled across this one a little bit, to be honest. I put my 20mm f1.8 lens back on the Z6 here, and I got down fairly low. And you remember when I was here today during the daylight, there was the old blades on the ground there, the old blades that obviously used to be on the top there. And I thought, I'll see if I can compose it, because the Milky Way was so low down in the sky. I was able to actually get the core going right across behind the windmill, as you can see there in the background, the windmill. And I was also able to capture this old blade on the ground here using a 20mm focal length in horizontal aspect ratio, so in landscape, and I stacked them for noise reduction. So I took 10 at f2.2, 10-second shutter speed, ISO 6400. Then I stopped down to f8. Now the reason I stopped down to f8 was because this is so close to the camera. It's only about 3 meters away, and so I needed to get increase my depth of field. I did take some shots of the windmill and the fence line and a few other things, and then I refocused, because the windmill it's about 10 or 12 meters away, so that was already in focus, but this wasn't, so I had to refocus. So this is a classic focus stack situation, and I just did some light painting with my torch all around. I took a heap of shots, probably 10 or 12. I don't know if I'll need to use them all, but as I often say, if you haven't got them, you can't use them. And look, this is a fantastic shot. I'm really excited about this one. Love it. Now, you know, these images are not always easy to capture. I mean, there's a lot of things to negotiate. I've got the fence line right up against here, and just working out that there's nothing in the background to interrupt my field of view. There's trees further down in the distance, and that's one of the things, to be honest, that attracted me to this particular location, was the fact that it was open. But I've still got to work out the angles, and that's really important. And I've talked about this before. I think we have to look at what's in the background, because the background can interrupt the foreground a lot. Oftentimes we get bedazzled. We come out here and we see the gorgeous Milky Way, and we see the stars, and we think, man, I just got to capture those stars. Well, of course we have to capture the stars, but you know, the other elements of the foreground, and it's not just the really close stuff, that's easy, that stands out to us. It's what's just down the road there. Is there a tree interrupting the view of my windmill? You know, things like that come into play, and you know, it takes a little bit of planning. Like I said, that's why I came here during the daytime, to have a good look around. Now, I'm absolutely delighted with this quite simple composition. There's this big gum tree over here, which is right on the side of the road, just down, probably only 100 meters from where the windmill is. And so I came down here, put the 35mm lens on the Z6 here. So it's a Nikon 35 f1.8S lens. Shot that at f2.2 at 10-second shutter speeds at ISO 6400. Now, as I often do, I just put put it into a single shot mode. So I just took one single shot, did a little bit of light painting around, and I was absolutely delighted that a meteor shot across the sky. And I actually saw it with my naked eye just down to the left-hand side of the tree there, and it came up on my shot on the back of the screen here. So I'm happy with that. Look, that's just a single exposure. And then I decided I'd stack some just to try something else. I don't know which one I like, but with the stacked exposures, I did 10 of those at f2.2. I think it was 8 or 10 second, I can't remember, shutter speeds at ISO 6400. Then I decided to do 3 extra long exposure just for the foreground. So I did 1 minute exposures, and I didn't really change much else. So it's really overexposed sky. 3 of those, the idea of the stack, and to make it look like it's, well, it does actually look like daylight. It's quite amazing what you can see when the shutter's open for that length of time. A couple of light painted shots in there as well, so I don't know how that one's going to come out, but it's a beautiful tree. Look at it there. It's just absolutely gorgeous. Now, I did have an opportunity to shoot a second tree that I found in a wheat paddock, and I was pretty happy with that. I put the 50mm lens on to shoot that one, and I did a panorama with about 5 or 6 shots across, and I reckon that one will look absolutely fantastic. Oh man, I don't know if you can hear them, but just after I finished shooting this tree, a massive flock of birds went squawking out of the top of it, and oh man, the things that you find out under the stars. Boy, oh boy, I just about fell over backwards running away. But anyway, I got the shot, and that's the main thing. Well, I have to say I'm absolutely delighted with the shots that I've been able to capture tonight. And just scrolling through them here, there's some beauties in there. So yeah, it's certainly well worth the trip out. Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this video, this is probably the last time that I'll be able to shoot the Milky Way galactic core for this Milky Way season. Now you can see in the background the moon is rising there. Now it's not far off 1 AM at the moment, so that's a post full moon. So it's getting smaller and smaller, and we're about a week away from a new moon. So there is probably a few days in the next week or so where it's possible I could get some more shots, but it all depends on the weather. And as it's happened now, it's quite cloudy. There's clouds everywhere, but I was really fortunate. I got here with enough time to capture all the images I wanted to capture, and I'm wrapped, absolutely wrapped. So I hope you guys, wherever you are in the world, have some clear sky, and you might see a little bit of Milky Way. I know a lot of you in the Northern Hemisphere, it's been gone for quite a while. One of the blessings we have here in the southern part of the world is that we have a very long Milky Way season, and it's one of the things I enjoy most about being here in Australia. But anyway, you guys have a fantastic week. I've got some more material up my sleeve. I'm going to be shooting some more stuff, talking about some great Nightscape subjects. So I'll catch up with you later on. See you then.